Hi guys, welcome back to Taste with Twist. Today we are making whole wheat flour bread at home. This bread is made out of 100% whole wheat flour and it is preservative free and homemade. So it is very tasty and healthy too. Before we get into today's video, please subscribe to my channel if you like this video and ring the bell icon to get notified whenever I post a new video. Do share this video, it helps a lot. To make the bread, in a large bowl I have taken half cup of warm milk. To that I am adding 2 teaspoons of sugar. Mix this well until the sugar dissolves. After the sugar dissolves, add in 1 teaspoon of active dry yeast to this. The milk should be lukewarm in temperature at this point. Again, give this a good mix. Now cover this and keep this aside for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, the milk mixture will turn frothy. This indicates that the yeast is active now. To this I am adding 3 cups of whole wheat flour. I am making this bread devoid of any all-purpose flour or maida. So I have taken 3 cups of whole wheat flour in this. I have added 1 teaspoon of salt. Use your hand or a spatula to roughly make a dough. Add water little by little to make a soft and sticky dough. I have used around 3/4 cups of water. After making a rough dough, add 2 teaspoons of oil and start kneading the dough. Knead the dough well. You will have to knead the dough for at least 6 to 8 minutes. Use as much pressure as you can. I am using my wrist to knead the dough. If you are finding it hard to knead the dough in the bowl, transfer the dough into the work surface. Dust the work surface with some flour if the dough is sticking to your hand and knead the dough well. The texture and lightness of the bread all depends on kneading the dough well. So you will have to knead the dough well to get a good bread. It's been 8 minutes of kneading. You can see we are left with a smooth and soft dough. I am placing this dough back into the same bowl. Grease the bowl and dough with some oil to avoid the dough from sticking to the bowl. Rub some oil on the surface of the dough as well to prevent it from drying out. Cover the bowl with a lid or a plastic wrap and keep this in a warm, dry place to let the dough rise for 2 hours. If the weather is very cold where you live, you may have to leave the dough for at least 3 hours. Now in the meantime, let's prepare our loaf pan. I am greasing the loaf pan with some oil and keeping it aside. If you don't have a loaf pan, you can use a cake tin or any other aluminium mold that you have at hand. It's been 2 hours. Let's check our dough. You can see the dough has doubled in its size. Just remember that we are working with whole wheat flour, and whole wheat flour will not rise and will not be as airy as all-purpose flour or maida. Now I am kneading the dough again for a minute. To make the bread loaf, here I am rolling the dough into a cylindrical shape, fold it in and roll it again. Repeat the same steps, and now to smoothen the bread loaf, tuck the bread loaf neatly with your hands and roll it again on the work surface. After you are done smoothing out the loaf, place this in the greased loaf pan. Gently spread the dough with your fingers to fit into the size of the loaf pan. We will be proofing this dough again. That means we will have to rest this dough and let it rise again for at least 30 minutes. For that, I am covering the loaf pan with a plastic wrap. Again, keep it in a warm, dry place for 30 minutes. In the meantime, while the dough rises, preheat your oven at 180 degrees Celsius for 10 minutes. It's been half an hour and our dough has risen. Now I am brushing some milk on top of it. You can even give this bread an egg wash if you are okay with eggs. I am keeping this bread vegetarian friendly, so I am skipping the eggs. But eggs will give good color to the bread. Now bake this bread in a preheated oven for 30 minutes at 180 degrees Celsius. The aroma of freshly baked bread is very appetizing. After 30 minutes, our bread looks done. Pull it out of the oven and I am placing this on the countertop. While the bread is still hot, Rub some butter over the bread. This gives a good shine to the bread and it will soften the center of the bread and it will stay soft for a longer time. If your bread has turned out very hard, place a damp towel on the bread and let it rest for 2 to 3 minutes. I am simply clearing the edges at this point with a sharp knife. Flip the tin onto a board and demold the bread. Just look how beautiful our bread loaf is. Cut thin slices of the bread loaf with a sharp serrated knife or a bread knife. Yeast are the reason for the air pockets that are created while we rest the dough, and the gluten strands that we have developed by kneading the dough well are the reason the air pockets are held inside the bread. Do try this healthy recipe at home and let me know how it goes for you in the comments. I promise you, baking your own bread at home is really satisfying. As always, thanks for watching. Until next time, bye.